Hey guys, Wild Willie here. I want to make a comment about something. Usually I don't comment on this sort of thing, but it's really starting to bother me. Watching all the YouTube videos and watching all the uh, the things that are going on in the United States as far as gun control and the gun grab. I'm a Canadian, and the gun laws here are a lot different and a lot stricter than what they are in most of the United States. It's you can't own some of the weapons that you in the U.S. you can own, and as far as buying a handgun here, the laws are so extreme, and it makes it virtually impossible to own a handgun. The regulations, the laws, the restrictions, and everything else. And I was thinking, well, you know what? When the school shootings happened and the movie theater shooting happened, I thought to myself, well, why does anyone in the United States need that kind of firepower? Why do they need semi-automatic weapons with high-end ammunition and large magazines? I mean, I was one of those people that said, hey, you know what? Let's do something in the States. You guys got to get your gun problem under control. Well, the more I read and the more things I hear and the more things I see on TV and in the internet and everything else, it's made me change my tune, so to speak. Geographically and demographically, yeah, there's more people in the United States than there are in Canada. Hence the population difference, and more people own guns, I think, in the United States than in Canada. But just because a couple mass shootings happen, which are tragic events in themselves, it's the United States. I don't think should be want to take everyone's guns away as far as the certain guns that they want to deal with. So I started thinking, well, why do they? It can't be just because there was a couple mass shootings. I mean, that can't be the reason. So I really started to read and everything else and do a little bit of research. And the only thing I can think of is that the U.S. government's afraid, not for the safety of the individual, but for the security of the state. I don't know if it's what the U.S. government's doing. Is it a follow up from George Bush Senior's New World Order that he talked about in the early '90s? Is the United States doing something? George Bush Jr. with his false flag attack, I feel, on 9/11. Is it the Patriot Act that that in the laws that are changing in the United States where they can come and knock down your door if you have a certain gun or if you have a certain amount of ammunition or a certain amount of food in your house? I don't know. Is it the fact that there's re-education camps that they've built across the country to detain U.S. citizens, or what they deem risk to the state citizens there? Is it the fact that there's FEMA coffins all staged out throughout the United States that have mass amounts of mass burial coffins ready to go in case something happens? I don't know what's going on in your country, but I do believe that the United States government is not a good government. I believe it's a tyrannical government. I believe it's a regime, and I think part of it is they've got an agenda going on, and they're not telling anyone about it, and that's putting the fear into the U.S. citizens. I If I was a U.S. citizen, I would definitely hold on to my firearms as long as I could, and I wouldn't let anyone take them away, especially when you can't trust your own government. It's your Second Amendment right is to protect against a tyrannical foe, whether it be domestic or foreign. And I do believe that the U.S. government doesn't have the best interest in mind for its citizens. It used to be, elected by the people for the people. Well, it's clearer than ever that the U.S. government has its own agenda and it's working its own way. I think they believe this, like I said earlier, in the security of the state, not the individual. Whether you guys are facing a massive economic collapse and this gun grab is in with that, I don't know. Your rights and your freedoms are being slowly taken away from you every day. I couldn't believe the bullshit that the TSA, or the rights the TSA has when you go through an airport. It's uncanny, and they say it's to give you a little more protection. Well, will you give up your freedoms for your protection? You know what? That freedom is part of your protection. And in the beginning, the things I've said to other people about the U.S. being gun-toting morons, because I watch the videos of the guys, with 10 firearms in their hand and a bandana over the face and the redneck flag in the background. Maybe a little bit extreme for me, but the event of the way the U.S. government's acting and the way things are happening in this world, I would sooner be called a wingnut and have a firearm in my back pocket than called normal and not have one at all if I were you guys. So I just want to let you know that as a Canadian, I don't own firearms, but if I was down there, I would definitely would, because I don't think your government's up to par on what they're telling you, and I think they have an agenda. What it is, no one knows for sure. But I wouldn't be caught. I wouldn't be caught the only one, when the music stops without a chair down there. So I apologize for those who have commented earlier on the videos about the U.S. gun laws and everything else, because I've taken a total 180, and I think you guys are in your right. And there's people like lobbyists like Alex Jones and that they may be a little extreme and everything else, but you know what? They're fighting for you guys, and I'm sorry, but I have to agree with them. So fight the good fight, guys, and do what you can to keep your rights and keep your liberties, because I think the U.S. government doesn't have your best interest in mind.